Hello. You told great stories about change communication and strategic employee communication to help along on major changes. Here's a quotation from the reading. Well, someone said they use in the first step of a communication rollout was the assessment of the current communication model. And that's really important. So let me share a little story quickly. I was sent from Shell Oil as an external consultant to an independent Canadian oil company, Nexen, to help them create a plant communication plan. This plant was one of the plants that Shell just pulled out of, where fracking occurs. That means that the product, the bitumen, is literally mined and then processed. So we talked and we said, okay, who are the stakeholders here at the plant? And we identified people who were not necessarily important in terms of their rank or role, but they were important because their fellow colleagues, their co-workers, would listen to them. Listen to them. Often, during a change process, people feel in a fog because the rumors are rampant. Rampant. You've all experienced that. And so transparency becomes critical to put an end to rumor. For example, this same plant I referred to in Canada, owned by Nexen, sold to another company, sold to now a Chinese company in Canada, did not want to have a public record of production targets. They considered that classified, which utterly amazed me, because how would the employees know if they're meeting their production targets? So, accountability is important. And, as this little visual says, the first step to accountability is transparency. And we live in a generation where millennials require transparency. Now, we had an interesting story about physical separation of buildings. That's a downtown shot of Houston, Texas. These buildings were all Shell buildings. But just recently, they've all closed down and everybody has been moved to one central location, a huge campus. The challenge there was trying to sell the move because people who are working here in this picture had bought homes so they could get there in the most expedited way, usually by park and ride, when you parked your car in a driveway, got on a bus starting at 5:30 in the morning. So, the idea to bring everybody into one physical location isn't novel, but it can cause problems for the employee. Safety. It is a supreme issue in manufacturing. That is a photograph of the Delaware City, Delaware refinery blowing up about, 20 years ago. That was my first day on the job, first month on the job. Yes, safety is always considered. And I agree with our colleague who said that they would hold a safety meeting if somebody damaged their back, for example. You can imagine what happened with this one. Multiple modes of communication is critical to understand. And let me share a story. I was once in charge of a global safety communication campaign for one of Shell's businesses. It was manufacturing. So I'm walking along and I'm in Houston, virtual work sometimes global travel. And I look down at McCroger's store, which is like a grocery store chain. And I look down, and there I see this poster stuck on the floor. I have this aha moment. Why not create safety posters that get stuck on the floor of the plants? No one had ever done that before. But to go back to somebody else's comment that sometimes things aren't easy, this became a major effort because I had to document that it was not slippery. And that took a lot of time and effort, plus working with the graphic artists to create them. I still have them in my storage boxes. Surveys. Take a look at this slide. This is a recent slide right here on campus. And yes, indeed, we do have surveys of faculty assessment of department chairs, just as businesses have surveys. But in Shell, I learned one survey called 360 Feedback, in which people above you, below you, and your equal provide you feedback on your job performance. Sometimes you didn't like what you heard, but at least you heard it. Well, these are my ideas based on your great stories about last week's chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.